Hey guys, it's the interview queen Alicia Atout, and I'm extremely excited this morning because Chris Van Vliet is finally on the show.
We're making this happen.
How are you?
I'm doing great. People can't believe that they're seeing us sitting next to each other right now. I don't know when we're going to post this, but this is the day after, the morning after Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
How are you feeling though?
I'm great. This was crazy. Yesterday was just a whirlwind of emotions, and I'm so glad that, I was able to be a part of it. We're going to save that, I guess, for your interview, because we're actually doing two today.
Yeah. We'll post them on the same day.
Yes.
On our individual channels.
I'm ready to blow people's minds.
We are.
They're going to freak out. How did you enjoy last night? I was able to see you last night in the media room. You posted the photograph of you watching the show. So tell me about your experience.
That was unbelievable. And I've been a wrestling fan my entire life, but I was so excited to be a wrestling fan last night. Like, AEW has completely changed the game. And I knew going into this, they would change the game for better or for worse. We were going to talk about a world that existed pre-AEW and post-AEW. And here we are now living in a post-AEW world. And it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
And did you see that Jon Moxley twist at the end? Did you assume that was going to happen? A prediction?
I knew something was going to happen. I was like, it's either going to be CM Punk or Dean Ambrose. And there he was, coming down through the audience like he was part of the Shield. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I noticed a lot of little nods to Dean Ambrose from Jon Moxley. So we'll see what he's maybe going to keep even more going forward.
Yeah.
Well, of course, AEW this year is tied in to StarrCast once again, just like last year's All In. You've been a very busy man. Seeing your interviews, you're popping them out like the day after, sometimes hours afterwards. So you've been getting some really awesome interviews.
And I think people don't realize that, like, I have an actual job too. Like, I host a TV show in Miami called Deco Drive, which is amazing, and I interview celebrities and review movies and go on red carpets. And I take days off to go travel to stuff like this. So I interviewed Joey Janela, MJF. I also interviewed Ryback and TJP. I was like, if this event's going to be happening in Vegas,
you may as well make the best out of it.
We have to come. And we didn't have any plans. We didn't even know how we were going to get tickets or anything. It was just like, I said to my producer, Jamil, I said, let's just take the days off and see what we can get. And it's been an amazing weekend.
Yeah, it seems to have all fallen into place for you for sure.
That's just kind of how life works, right? Seriously, if you put something out there and you work hard towards it, you can make it happen.
Hopefully you get something back.
That's right. No, it's not hopefully. It's you will get something
back.
You
will get it back.
Yeah.
I like the positive attitude.
It's true.
How are you feeling after Ryback choked you out?
Yeah, geez. Wow.
Yeah, that looked intense.
Ryback is a large human. Yeah. And he's like 6'3", 6'4", and almost 300 pounds. And I haven't posted the interview yet, but when I do post it, like, we're sitting next to each other, and he is seriously like a human larger than me. And he's very intense. Super nice guy, and I was actually on his podcast, which is kind of what led to him then being on my show. And I was like, well, when I'm in Vegas, we got to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
And he's just a very, very large man. Plus, not everyone, I think with every wrestler, you shouldn't just take the arm around like, hey, there's a guy. I just interviewed this guy.
Do something fun sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
I remembered it, right? I brought it up, so it's working.
Ryback posted it.
That's amazing.
That's right, yeah.
When it comes to interviewing, have you always had that effortless gift of the gab, or were you pretty nervous when you first started and then it came a bit later?
I think that people don't realize that this is just a conversation. The only difference is there happens to be a camera here, and I think too many people psych themselves out and go, oh my gosh, I gotta think of what questions I'm gonna ask, or I gotta think of how this is gonna be received or whatever. And if you were to just think like, I'm going to a party tonight, I'm going to a wedding tonight, you had to strike up a conversation with someone, that's how I try to approach my interviews and my conversations. Just like cocktail type of conversations. Yeah. But I've been really fortunate. I've been broadcasting now for 15 years. And it's just kind of, by way of me just doing it frequently with my job. It was Toronto to Vancouver, or Peterborough, I should say. Peterborough to Vancouver, to Toronto, to Cleveland. Now I'm in Miami, hosting different TV shows and being super fortunate to be an entertainment reporter along the way. I've reported from the Oscars and the Grammys and, talking to people from all different walks of life.
That's one of the most exciting things about your channels. You never know who's going to pop up next. I remember when that Cena clip posted, I was like, No, holy shnikes. He just got John Cena, because I see tons of the people you get, and when I first started, you start with the smaller and then you go up, and now it's this beautiful mix of everyone you enjoy, and I want to get to the point where it's just like, you want them, you get them, and luckily it's been happening.
Yeah, you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But when I see that, it's super cool, because it's like, it is just that conversation, and it's so interesting to watch.
And I think too many people that are trying to get into this aim too big, too fast. And you got to realize, if you want to do what Alicia and I are doing, and we've been having a great time doing, if you have a local wrestling show, interview the people there first.
Yes.
Start to build up that resume, build up that rapport with wrestlers, and then you can start to build up from there. You aren't going to get Jon Moxley, Cody Rhodes, John Cena on day one.
No.
You
got to work for it.
Yeah, you're going to get your local wrestlers, which are awesome and could be the Jon Moxleys and Dean Ambrose. That's the same guy.
Yep.
John Cena's and Batista's and whoever of the world. They'll be them one day. And they'll also be Jon Moxley and Dean Ambrose at the same time.
Has there ever been an interview that's escaped you? One that you're still trying to track down, a man or a woman that you still want to get?
On my bucket list is Vince.
Okay.
And I don't know that this is going to happen, but I'm going to throw it out there and hope that it happens. Vince is the one I wanted to do. The Rock was at the top of my list for the longest time.
And you've done that a couple times now,
Yeah,
which is just crazy.
I've interviewed The Rock 9 times. Not that I'm counting or anything, because he's like the greatest human ever.
Just throwing that number out randomly.
But yeah, Vince is number one, and I'm going to keep saying that and keep putting it out there until it happens one day.
Does it ever surprise you how when we're interviewing, a lot of the time you become friends with the interviewees? Like, you keep in touch, then each time you see them more and more at shows, you end up getting numbers and texting, and it's like, these are our buddies now.
Yeah.
It's very surreal.
It's wild, especially like growing up as a wrestling fan. And I remember recently getting Chris Jericho's number, and I remember like entering that name into my phone and being like, I have Chris Jericho's phone number now. And like, I've become really close friends with Dolph Ziggler, and we text frequently, and it's like, these are the people who I idolized growing up, and now they're just a text away, and like, they'll actually text me back too. You won't believe this, but Alicia Atout, I can text her.
No way.
Yeah.
I heard she's all right. I heard she's pretty cool.
I heard she's okay.
Yeah. I remember the first time I was talking with Foley after the interview, and it's one of those things where we exchanged numbers, and he's just giving me so much amazing advice, and every time that came up, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It sounds really silly saying it out loud, but it's like, that's Mick Foley.
Yeah. And then you just got to realize that these are, they're just other humans.
They're just people. I say that all the time.
Right.
They are these rock stars, of course, but...
Absolutely. They're rock stars, and they're extremely successful in what they're doing, but they're just humans like the rest of us that just had a goal, chased after it, and now they've been super successful at it.
Well, in these interviews, we not only talk wrestling, but we love diving into hobbies and everything else you love. And one thing that seems to be up there for you is fishing. So I remember seeing these huge photographs of you, and you caught like a 480-pound grouper once.
Yeah.
Is that still the biggest fish to date?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a very large fish, a Goliath grouper. I'm really into bass fishing. So much so that I actually have a bass fishing company, a brand, called Tungsten. You have to say it like that every time. Partly because of the flare reference, but also because when you catch a giant bass, you're like, woo! Also, when you say woo, it's usually, met with woo on the other end, too.
Yeah, so you want people to be in it,
Right.
You want them to give it back to you.
We sell tungsten fishing weights for bass fishing, and I still do a lot of bass fishing. I live in Florida now, even though I found out just before the interview, we're from the same hometown.
Which is super bizarre.
Like,
what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
Obviously pretty good, but
it happened.
It's so strange.
From Pickering, Ontario, Canada. Wow.
To here, doing our own thing in Las Vegas.
Doing it.
So great. Well, I just want to say thank you for being a part of this. It was such a pleasure finally being able to do this. We've had so many exchanges.
Yeah.
Even before we knew this was going to happen. I remember
Right.
just messaging you like, thanks for doing some awesome stuff. So today, thank you for doing some awesome stuff with me.
Well, thank you. And let's put it out there that if you're watching this one on Alicia's channel right now, there'll be an interview with Alicia on my channel, so you can go search for that as well.
Absolutely. You guys will be seeing it pop up in one of those beautiful cards. And also in the description below, we'll do a little exchange.
There we
Everybody,
go.
Chris Van Vliet, thank you so much for watching. We will be seeing you next time.
Woo!